Well, hello. Welcome to Quilts and Other Happy Accidents. I'm Sherry. I'm going to show you some quilts I've made this year. It's been a really busy quilting year. As some of you know, I've been trying to use up my scraps and I've been making donation quilts for a local women's shelter. They require that the quilts be twin size. So, as most of us do, I go through phases of piecing and quilting and planning and just sorting fabric and whatever. At any given time, I've got umpteen things going on, but it keeps me busy and my brain's always creating, and I really like that. So I'd like to start with this quilt that I have right here. This is using up a lot of fabric from the Southwest. I think you can probably see we've got coco peles, we've got petroglyphs, I've thrown in some batiks, there's another one. I mean, it's just a very busy quilt. This is actually a free pattern from Missouri Star Quilts. It was called a two-step quilt. I'll put the link to the tutorial in the comments below. But Jenny did a really nice one with this. It's an old tutorial, but I thought it was really interesting because it was super simple. And the other thing that appealed to me was I could use up a bunch of strips. I have no idea how I got so many strips in my scrap box, but here you are. The other thing that challenged me about this is I really had to work with value because when I started, I had lots of these really dark colors and heavy colors, and I had to go and dig out some things to lighten it up and give it some contrast. So that's where these came in and this one came in. Um, but yeah, I can tell you where I bought most of these because we've traveled in the Southwest. We go camping and do crazy things, and almost always we go and buy some fabric, and I make a quilt or two. But when you buy 3 yards as your default, you end up with a lot of Southwest fabric. So I've been using it up gradually, and we're almost there. So the back of this quilt, it's not actually a quilt, it's a blanket. The difference between a quilt and a blanket, if you don't know, a quilt has 3 layers. It has a back, the batting, and the top. Well, this I chose to put fleece on the back. So it's only 2 layers, but it's really warm. And then I just did a meander, as I often do with my quilts and blankets, just to kind of hold it together. I have a small domestic quilt machine that I just do free motion quilting on. It does a great job. And I really like the way this turned out. I like the colors. I do like the contrast. I think it works well. And I hope someone really enjoys it. Let me show you the next one. Well, here's the next one. As you've seen in some of my other videos, I do lean into color pretty hard. I had been in a phase for a long time of buying panels. I had friends and relatives that were having babies. My grandchildren were young, and so I was buying lots of kids' panels. And well, a lot of time passed, and I still had a lot of panels, but I just absolutely love these little Martians, galaxy piece. Who doesn't want that, right? But it also had a trim on it, and I hope you can see this, where it's little spaceships and space buses. So once I got this panel out and started looking through my stash, it occurred to me I had some really bright colors that I could use out of my batiks. And so I have 3 different batiks in this. I've got this orange and this green and this purple. Now, this is just a fun block to make, and I've talked about it before. It's the Twisted Sister block. It is just a really great block. And last but not least, I realized I needed kind of something that made it all work. And I found this print, which has the yellow, the green, the purple. It's all in there. It matches my Martians or my, whatever they are. So again, as with often happens in my blocks, I didn't really have enough of any one of these fabrics for binding, so I had to use a scrappy binding, and I just used the strips of the different colors that I have in here and just put them together so that I could bind it. Um, Again, this is a blanket, not a quilt, because it's got the fleece on the back. And really all I did was just kind of stitch in the ditch and outline these little crazy characters, um, just to hold it all together. It'll be really fun for some kid or an adult, who knows? Let's see the next one. Well, here's number 3 of my donation quilts of 4. Again, I had this fun panel of bunnies and carrots and whatever. And I started going through my stash, and I really didn't have enough fabric that would go with it. I had this batik blue, which worked. I had this dark batik, which worked. And I had this one. So, as luck would have it, I had to go shopping. I know, I'm breaking my rule, but I had to have something to pull this all together and make it make sense. And so I found this lovely green, and it's kind of an ombre, and I hope you can see it on the side, how it shifts in colors. But once I found those, then the biggest challenge was how to make it work. Because if you look at this, this is a rectangle, but this is a square. Now, how in the world are you going to lay all that out and make it make sense? So I fiddled and fiddled and fiddled. I framed them to get them closer to the same size. And then I decided I wanted to do kind of a rail fence in between with these 3 fabrics, but that didn't work. It just got too disjointed. So I decided I would put the blue, I don't know what to call this, the balloon or the rainbow fabric, and the green all in the same order all the way through the quilt. Okay, so it works really, really well, but it wasn't big enough. The never-ending battle of what the heck? So I started, I had enough of this 3 colors to start making borders. But then it was like, well, how do I make the borders go on and make it look right? Because these are all going in the same way. So the solution was to create this 9 patch on the corner so that I could connect the blue, the rainbow, and the green and help it to turn the corner and go up the side. I did the same on the top and went across. I did the same on the other side. So the border is actually green first all the way around, then this rainbow fabric, and then the blue fabric. It turned out really cute. But boy, did I have to get my thinking cap on to figure out how to make this make sense. But I think it turned out beautifully, and I think this is a little trick I may use in the future, because there's no doubt I'll get myself stuck somewhere and have to come up with a creative way to get around the corner and make it look right. I really like this one. Again, very simple quilting on it, just kind of to hold everything in place, a lot of stitch in the ditch. Um, and then this one is also fleece on the back. I really like the idea of the fleece, and it does kind of simplify the whole blanket making process. But I've learned a couple of things since I started this project. First is the fleece is such an odd size, I'm ending up with a lot of waste, and I don't like for that. Second, with enough washings, this fleece is going to lose its fuzz. It'll still be very warm because the fuzz will be on one side, it just won't be on both sides. And last but not least, fleece sheds lots of little microplastics in the air. And I had so much dust and debris in my machine and in my sewing room. And then I got to looking at things online. And in fact, fleece is a big cause for my microplastics in the air. So while I liked it and it was a really good idea, I'm trying to get away from plastic. So I'm probably done with fleece. But I'm going to give it to somebody. It'll still be a very useful blanket, and I hope they really enjoy it. Here we come. We're ready for the last blanket. Oh, and here comes my friend Cupid. Hey, Cupid. Do you want to say hello to everybody? Well, come here. Can you sit on my lap? Oh, no. And she's gone. So Cupid is our rescue cat. She's an older lady, very, very gentle. estimated to be 12 or 13 years old. She doesn't like kids and she doesn't like dogs or loud noises, which makes her a perfect cat for retired people such as myself and my husband. And she's absolutely a joy. Hopefully I'll get her in a video soon. Anyway, let's move on to the fourth. All right, this is actually a quilt. It actually has batting and backing. This was the quilt that I featured in my Mismatched Borders video. Some of you saw that. Thank you very much. I resolved the binding by actually just allowing the mismatch to continue all the way around. So it's alternating the blue and the gray, which absolutely finished it perfectly. This is the Yellow Brick Road pattern, and this was 18 fat quarters that I put together using the Yellow Brick Road pattern guide. I did free motion quilting. I don't know if you can really see it, but really I just wanted to add some curves and some softness to all these straight lines. It was much easier to do that way because I could start and stop. Sometimes when I'm free motion quilting on a larger piece, I get myself stuck somewhere because I have to move the fabric so much. This worked out great though. It has the cotton batting, which allows for up to 6 or 8 inches between the quilting, and that worked fine. I tend to use a very soft gray on my quilting unless there's a reason to use something different, because it blends in so easily. It really doesn't show on much of the fabric at all. Occasionally, like on this orange, it'll show a little more, but on the browns and the blues and even this lavender, it just kind of disappears into the fabric. The back on this one, I had flannel backing left over from, well, actually, does anybody else buy fabric by the bolt? Especially if you can get it on sale and it's the wide backing. I buy a bolt or two at a time. Please don't judge me. But this was backing that I used actually on Evelyn's Stars quilt. No, Universe? Stars? Stars quilt. Because it went with her fabrics particularly well. But it's just a good neutral gray. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. It'll make it much easier for everyone to find me. Please check the description below for links to the different sites where I got patterns and fabrics. Have a wonderful day.